Welcome to the channel. This is Reliable Rudy. Give me just a moment while we get everything set up. And I need to go and take some profit on this GRR, which we got a pretty good entry. We were playing around that 350 level, had some trims, had some reloads. We didn't start playing it to the end of this candle. And now starting to get this break. So let's go take some profit. This is going to be a really good trade around that 350 level. We're already 12% in the money. So yeah, let's just go keep taking more off of this. Oh my goodness, I'm getting paid right now. This isn't the reason. I actually just got my stream deck set up again. Yesterday was a huge mess as all my stuff, I hit the update on accident, and yeah, I just couldn't figure it out. And yesterday was, also bloody, and I was busy. So I do apologize for no stream yesterday, but making up with that today. Before we go into any analysis, you guys know I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Everything in this video is me just sharing my opinion, giving you guys some entertainment, and let's see if we can make some money in the process. So the title, I was expecting it to kind of wick through 4. Let's go see where that print came in at. Let's see if these 4s can hold. If 4 can hold, we think that we can get this even higher to the upside. So my print came in at 403, not the greatest. But let's just go and take a little bit more off. Let's go on the ask at 410. Actually, I'm just going to put a stop underneath of this 4. We're going to go, oh, no, we're just going to leave it as is. And we can think about some reloads if this wants to come back in the 50s for some reason. And I keep changing my mind. I'm going to put this 410 in. So on the ask at 410, let's scroll around to some more. GEO is a new position that we started yesterday, and we actually started it a small position the day before. We played this like it was going to be a bull flag. It filled the gap, retraced down in a little bit, and then we traded off with the gap down and the lows. We wanted to get as close to 7 as possible, but as it was just kind of hovering around here, we had a few entries, and we took our 705 off the tape. We were on the bid at 705 when we were dropping right here. But another reason why I was playing this area is because wicks down, leaves that wick, and showed that it could fill the gap. And we were thinking that if it can take out this level, we have a nice flat top up here at this 734. If we can get early entries and build this position and take that out, I feel really good about this position near these bottoms. And if it wants to give out, we got some gaps to the downside here where we have 663 to 650. So I'm already telling myself I'm okay holding it down to that. DocuSign is also, so GEO really not the most in the money. I'd say probably around flat. DocuSign, we're playing this like some sort of trend line, also near the bottoms. Whether this pans out or not, we already know that we're going to have to retrace up and fill this gap. But we started around 450s, or 49.50s and 49 flat, just playing the bottom of these candles over here. And it actually goes a little bit lower, where I would have been a little bit more interested under 48. But if this goes south on me, I already know retracing back down to the gap is what I'm going to have to worry about. GRR. Well, give me just a moment, Kramer. We'll get through the title, and then I will come back. Another one that we're starting to get a little bit more size on, and I'm pretty happy that it's catching a bid. But we're playing around this 10 flat level. We bought the knife at that 10 flat, and one more order down near that 990 as it was holding support. Now getting that gap up, I was already anticipating that, hey, we can pull down more. Where I'm going to be interested around that 955 level, which is your trend line. But now catching a bid, we've ran the tape at 44s and 50s, and we are going to be on the ask. I need to go put that order in at 60. We'll just start at 60 and 64. We'll have a couple takes there. But yeah, Kramer, my bad for not streaming yesterday. It was a complete mess with my OBS. I couldn't figure it out. I wanted to get streaming, and then there was, of course, bloody days are. I love when there's blood in the market. When there's blood in the market, I am a happy camper because I can try to identify some levels and pull the trigger on some names, and days like today can happen. Uh, so catching a bid on a lot of names. Okay, I'm on the ask at 60s and 64s. If that wants to fill, great. If it doesn't, great. We can pull back in and we can get something there. Okay, let me go see. Um, what are we buying today? The only thing I've actually bought today is the GRR. And we were playing around that 350. We had multiple. You know, I am sadly going to have to say, Kramer, that I made a big mistake yesterday, and that was on AI. AI, we had the money. We had it on the money. Now, I did not have this trend line set like this. I had it set more so like this. So you can imagine what happened right here. We tried just under 37s. We got 36.90s, and then we got 36.50s. And then that candle started catching a bid, and I'm like, okay, let's go throw a stop loss underneath of these bodies of these candles. We put it at 36.35, which is the neckline, and we got wicked out near the bottom. Oh, goodness, man. We were reloaded from the 34s and then some. So when I got wicked out, I was like, ah, dang it. And then I seen it start doing this, and I just like put my hands over my face, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So then I was waiting for this. If this pulls back to this trend line, 37 flat, I'm getting back in. Never gave me that entry. Ran all the ways up, filled the gap. Would have been a beautiful, beautiful trade. If we take the middle of those two entries, 9%, and then we'd hold a piece for the dream. Man, that one really had me going yesterday, and I was not very happy. But did that GRRR give me that 410 fill? It looks like it maybe did. Let's go see if that gave me that 410 fill. If it did, it did not give me. Oh yeah, it did. We got the 410 fill. So let's ring the register on that. And now if this wants to pull back into like 70s, I feel pretty good about it. But we're holding around 50% of the position left. And I feel pretty comfortable looking around. So CSTL. CSTL. Castle Bioscience. Um, the first thing I'll say is you get that gap up, it shows you the wick. So this is going to be a crucial level. If this gives out this wick in any way, shape, or form, I'm immediately going to think, hey, some sort of descending channel could be in the works here. So, but if it can take out, the same thing goes for this side. If it can take out these 20s, which I'm sure, you know, we do have a gap. So we have a catalyst. We're fighting with these lows right here. So this is sort of like a middle, you can see the wicks. This is the middle ground that we're playing with. I wasn't even looking over to the right. All I did was kind of mark the middles of, or the bottom of this candle and the top of this green candle. That's all I did without even looking to the right of my chart. This is the price action we're sitting in right now. So you can see the catalyst for the middle ground, hold, buyers, sellers, and the potential descending channel, and also the potential ascending channel. So a couple different routes that could go. I'll throw that one on a watch list. And let's go over and look at ACHR. And I know this is going to be on my watch list because I remember the ticker. And I would say that if you were playing this trend line, I think you know, not the greatest set trend line, and it kind of differs off of this. It kind of breaks that down and tests through that. But this is one I'm going to want to look at the daily for sure. And you can see strong name. When it takes out this high, this volume increase, I like that a lot. Now this is a gap up, tries to retrace down to the gap and doesn't. So that is crucial information right there. Now I'm gonna tell you why. Because anybody short off of this candle saying, hey, I can get this down to the gap, with this price over top and flirting with these levels, this could also be a continuation play where I'd say you're more so, you have a nice solidified uptrend, whether it's set perfectly or not. This is probably also some sort of ascending channel. So I see the catalyst and also flirting. You can see this was a flat top right here. When it took this out, you get the retest of the trend line and that flat top right there. And so catching a bid. So if it can take out these highs, which, call it a 5 break. If this is early entries for a 5 break, you can easily run this up to 6, and you can have outs into this resistance over here. So you have some resistance, this is the resistance that's fighting right now, these flat tops. So if you're getting an entry right here, I would definitely respect up in front of 5. But yeah, not a terrible setup. GRR continuing to catch a bid. So that 402 gap, which I wasn't even paying attention to see that there was a gap there. But let's just go back over here and take a piece off if it wants to keep running. Oh man, I'm not gonna get those 20s now. GRR. I should have been ready. Actually, we're a little under 50% of the position now. So this is alright. If it gives up 4s, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the retest down to 75s. If it wants to hold 4s, we think that we can get 25s again. So clear selling pressure coming in front of 25s. And first off, I do want to say, huge shout out to H&H Trader. I wouldn't have even seen this ticker at the beginning of the day, but he is very good at identifying the top movers, the top volume movers, and I wouldn't have even seen this ticker if it wasn't for him. So huge shout out to H&H. If you're out there listening, I'll reach out and let you know that you got me a very nice trade today. So very well done identifying this. So this indecision candle, I was telling myself, hey, if this next candle can be green and show me that, hey, we have a catalyst that we can take this out. And this is where, I was also, ooh, that reminds me, hold on. We have another ticker that we also weren't paying attention to this. I don't like the way that these candles look, but this was a reasonable flat top that we were gapping over on PLTK. And I think this is pretty decent support in here. I'd be thinking more of a swing trade where if I took an entry right here, I'm okay buying this gap at 1150. So I'm already telling myself, hey, if this falls in 2.5%, I'm holding it against me. But this flat top, I love these flat top setups that gaps up and it retests down to this support. A lot of day left, so even though the price is underneath of this, I still think that buyers can come in and leave this sort of wick, where if it leaves that wick, there is a catalyst where you were trading in a descending channel, you were able to break out of that channel, a nice slow churn to the upside. I wouldn't, not necessarily slow, but it was a churn to the upside. You gap down and the buyers come back in off of the gap and also the top of the downtrend. So that, and then also trading sideways, solidifying this sort of channel and now catching a bid and breaking over this flat top with an ascending channel like this. PLTK is definitely one that we're on watch, and RXT, I know this is one that you've been looking at, Kramer. But a nice uptrend on this and a nice hold of these highs. I would even say we connected with the highs and just a little tiny wick of buying pressure. We get the gap up, doesn't even have the weakness to fall 7 cents to fill that gap, and now catching a bid where if you got that entry off that trend line, you're respecting 244s and reloads are coming in off 225s. That's how I'd be playing that. Looking around, this GRR giving up 4s for right now, which is fine. We look over at the 15-minute chart, you can see nice green move, and it looks like, this candle actually can still be green. This was a lot of volume, sellers and buyers, so keep that in mind. But yeah, a lot of large moves on the day. And it looks like plug just barely didn't give us that fill at 60s. 2 pennies off. Soundhound also worth noting. But the part worth noting is the level. So you can see we had a gap fill right here at 34s. We got damn close, and those also test up to the previous highs. So that was worth noting, but this would be one that, okay, let's play the level, and now we'd be trimming right now. I don't want to buy it in the middle of this red candle, especially with this gap at 350s, and then also the trend line down near 3. So we're going to need some time, but Soundhound catching a bid. GRR holding above of these 4s for now, so if that wants to make a run, we're all for it. What else did we have? What else is in the title? FVRR. We were not the greatest on FVRR. Uh, back down into these 25s. We were just kind of playing these 25 levels yesterday. I'm already telling myself, hey, we got a gap at 2340. If this wants to pull back down in the 2340s, I'm all for it there. I'm going to have to hold against my position, but these high margin companies that are still growing, I'm telling myself that, hey, in the long run, if they can continue growing revenue, doesn't matter how fast. Obviously, you want it to be faster, but if they are continue putting up those high margins, not too much share dilution, but there is some share dilution. But the big part is that they're free cash flow positive. So as long as they're free cash flow positive and stay afloat, hold that seat at the table, I'm telling myself that, hey, I'm okay playing this support down here. If I have to hold into these low 20s, so be it. So that's how we're going about that. GRR. I would love to have AI still on my title, but unfortunately I don't. So that is the cold hard truth, is that we got stopped out near the lows yesterday, and that sucks. It sucks getting stopped out near the lows, but it's part of trading. So it was a risk that I took when I started the position where I did, and it was still a very good trade. We took an original break at 34s and ran it all the ways up to 40s, and we tried reloading 37s and 36 halves, and just misplaced the stop. That's and if I had that other trend line the way I had originally, I would have never got stopped out. And the trend line I'm talking about is not the one that's up there right now. It was this one, and the big tell for it was when we filled this gap, we actually held the support down here, which is the neckline. This was the low, and this was the start of some sort of trend line right here. And had I just given it that trend line or even given it 35.50, we would still be in AI. And we would be very happy campers, as this is breaking the flat top that it had set at 40 halves and now retesting it. Honestly, I would expect this to some buyers to step in and play this level. So if you're looking for something to scalp and reload, that is not a half bad play. But I personally just can't do it. I can't play this level because I was just got stopped out down here. So I mean, it is what it is. So looking over at CSTL, you can see still trying to hold these levels. So 1850 is kind of the level that you're wanting to see hold. That's the buying that's keeping it up. And kind of giving you that look like this is going to be a descending channel. Plug, I will say that this is notable volume that's coming into plug as well. Rig getting ready to test up near that 770 flat top. End phase is also a notable one. We didn't buy any shares yesterday, even though we played around with this 160. We thought we were going to get the gap fill down here. It just never came in. Had it got down this gap, I would have, even if I just seen it fill the gap, like if this wicked into the gap, I probably would have even tried it up a little bit higher. But end phase, a notable trend line on end phase. That doesn't really show the full picture. That is what we're talking about. So not necessarily a trend line, but a channel. I like when we got nice parallel channels and clear levels to buy. This is another one I just noticed. I just seen that. I can't even find it right there. In mode is another trade that we're looking at for some sort of flat top, and we were watching this gap, and it does fill that gap and catches a bid. Well, now it's sort of testing this sort of flat top right here. So if this strong name, a lot of green volume coming into this, if this catches a bid, high margin company, we think that we can at least run it up to 39.50, if not more. So in mode's another one that we're watching. One from yesterday that we were playing with a little bit was 4C or C4, and you can see we tried the middle of this candle right here, and we were trying to get 55s. 55s never came in. Now it was actually the next candle. This is the candle as it showed me. Hey, bull flag continuation. We had trims. Our best trim was a 387, and now coming back into that same 350 level where we're still holding the small piece, but I would say that's not the most ideal setup unless it can show that there's some buying pressure to get this back up to 380. If it gets back up to 380, we're thinking break of 4. So GRR continuing to wick up into these 4s. And plug catching a bid. Let's see if we can go get 1060 filled and 1064. If that wants to fill, we're all for it. You know, now that we just barely missed a little bit, let's just go take a piece off a plug right now. In case this doesn't want to fill. So ringing the register on some profits for plug. $380 is the area that we're going to be looking at. And we got 94s, 03s, and 10s. So I can reload those at 80s. The rest of my fills actually come in below 80s. So that's about 15% of my position can be reloaded off of 380s. But let's just see it run. Let's get some more prints over 4, and if we can get that, then we can reload more off of 380s. And that is what you guys want to see. You guys want to see me take trades. PLTK, you can see that buying pressure coming in at those 380s, which is reasonable, but reasonable increase in volume as well off of these lows right here. It gets down to 1180s. So that is one that we are going to keep on watch. And let's just clear the chart and say, hey, I would say this is a pretty legitimate trend line right here. CRBU taking out the highs, flirting. Ooh, this is catching a bid right here. This was one we got stopped out of yesterday as well. We had a couple trims on the name, just never got any follow through and get stopped out. I will say my entry was pretty on the money though. I think our average was around this 44s and our stop came in at 42s. So the trims probably kept it as a green trade. Looking around, Mr. Drift, how's it going, brother? I got a golden entry on the GRRR. Played around this 350 level, had some good trims. He had a reload as well, and my best print is a 410. We were trying to hustle to the market order when I seen it was a full green candle up at these 420s, but now it looks like this candle may give an attempt for it. We're saying that anything that we cut over 4s, we can reload off of 80s, and if that falls in even more, we can go off of 80s down to 70s. So this is going to be one that we're going to have quite a few transactions on. And let's go ahead and just get an order out for in front of 420. Let's go 418 and see if we can take another piece off at 418s. If that wants to get there, great. If it doesn't, great. And there's 415s. Ooh, so close, so close. That could potentially be the wick high temporarily that we're going to need to break over, but still 2 minutes 50 seconds left. Well, thanks. And you, man, yeah, I'm a little upset. Um, and that is simply because of AI. I was saying earlier in the stream that we almost hit the home run on AI. You know, I'd been trading AI from a 34 break. This is not how I had my chart set up yesterday. I had my chart set up more so like this, so you're going to be able to imagine what happened. Is we played this 37 flat, and we also bought 3650s. I think it was 3656, and that was simply because of these highs right there, the body of the candles. And then as it actually caught a bid after my order, went and retested 37s, and then I put a stop in at 30s. I'm like, okay, we'll get. It was actually, I can't remember if it was 30s or 35s, but we said we're giving it 20 cents, and you can see this wicks down, stops us out near the lows. Now, when I seen it catch a bid like this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I made a terrible mistake, because that's when I realized that, hey, when we filled this gap over here, this was the trend line that held, and it holds the neckline right here. This is what held when we caught a bid. And I didn't even allow it to give that trend line, and I didn't even give it the low. So I should have gave it down to these lows, gave it a chance. So when I seen that, I was like, okay, if this catches, it falls back down to 37s, we're getting back in, and it gave me no opportunity. So we stopped out down here and missed out, and we were starting to get some good size back on the order, and missed out on a great move. And 418s just filled, 420s, 425s, given the breakout right here. Let's go get another piece off. GRRR. Let's see if it can get back up to those 30s. Stacking. Ooh, size stacking. Oh, took that out quick. 25s. Let's see if it can take out these 28s. It took them out very quickly. Get into these 30s briefly. And let's take a trim there. Let's see where the fill came in. We got 29, so ring the register again. Now let's see if this can break out and go up to 50s. Let's just go on the ask at 48s right away. Get this order out there. 48s is on. So if we can get 48s, I'm all for it. We're at 40s, 43s. Oh, close, 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 close. Very close. A lot of time left on this new candle. Let's see if we can get those 48s filled. And let's just go on the ask at 50s as well. Even though it's possible that we're not going to get 50s filled. 450s. So 448 and 450s. We think that this candle can continue to turn green, even though it's showing like this could be the pullback candle and the start of the move back down to retest 4 now. So I don't know if this would pull all the ways back in under 4. I think you'd have some triggers of stops come on in. But ringing the register on GRRR, if we look around elsewhere, GEO is a new play. we're playing with over here. Why I liked it is it gaps down, shows the wick of buying, fills the gap to the upside, and then as it was trading sideways, we had a few orders come in, and we were on the bid at 705. We took that order off late in the day, and because I had stuff that I wanted to do, I didn't want to see it fill 705 and then break down. But now up at 720s, we're feeling pretty good. Plug was one that we have been playing. We never got stopped out of plug. I'm not gonna lie though, Drift. We did have a stop in. We had a stop in at 80s, and when I seen these wicks come in, I'm like, God forbid this now that it's been trading a little bit and 80s held, I was like, I'm not letting what happened to AI happen to me. Even though AI had the trend line that was rolling through there, all we did was we took the stop off and we said, hey, if this comes down to 950s, we're gonna hold against us and we're gonna hammer these 950s. Well, now catching a bid, we have fills at 45s, 50s, and 57s. And we're on the ask at 60s, and we want to get this gap fill right here at 64. So that's what we're rinse and repeat, up 160 so far. Let's get the pullback, baby. Poultice, nice to have you on the stream, man. I haven't seen your name in the chat before. What are you trading? Oh boy, GRR just gave us fills at 48s and 50s. Ring the register again. Let's see if this can keep going. We still got about, well, let's go see how many we're at actually. This is just a gorgeous trade. We're up 27%. We got 25% of the position left, and at an average of 354. Also had some reloads. So let's go take another piece off. Why not? Oh my goodness, this is just. I mean, eventually we're gonna start lowering the size that we're taking off here, but eventually this is gonna give some sort of pullback that we can reload, and that should have just gave us a 64s. We got 64s. Let's go take more off. Oh my goodness, this is on an absolute tear. Ringing the register. I hope this is the name you're on, Poultice. If you're in on this with me, ring the register, hit the home run. And let's just keep going to the upside. Good Lord. Let's get the pullback, baby. I hope you weren't talking. I hope you didn't exit the full position. We're waiting for the retest of 4. Always, one thing I like to preach is, trim the levels, hold a piece for the dream. We got to go to the daily to see some levels on this. Where I would say you have some resistance down here at 550, just playing those lows, and also should mark the start of the gap, which comes in at a 513. So this is the level we're going to be looking for potential exits, but we do want to hold a piece. If this wanted to go crazy for an 1176 gap, good Lord, that would be just a massive trade. So let's see where those last couple prints came in at. We got 63s and 76s. So we're going to get ready to go on the ask. Let's go in front of 5s. Let's go 495. If 495s want to fill, we're going to let it fill. GRRR. And let's go on the tape at 495. And if that one's a fill, I mean, extraordinary move on the name today. Again, huge shout out to H&H Trader. He's the one who put this one on the map for me. And we were playing a 350 level and getting the breakout. Top wick 34%. More so, looking at plug, we still haven't got those 60s. And the reason why we're saying 60s is because that's the bodies of these candles right there, and 64 is the gap. So we're on the ask at 60 and 64. Some other notable moves. AI continuing the churn. PLTK, this is also one that we are interested in. just because it was able to kind of gap up above this sort of flat top right here. Looking at this as some sort of flat top right around that 12 level. So if this reclaimed 12, we think that there's some potential there. Looking back at CSTL. Real quick, I'm going to go refill my coffee. I will be right back. And we are back. Some other notable moves, I would say that the NQ, Dow, SPY, all right around flat. Oil, breaking through that sort of flat top that was building around these 72s. And actually breaking this sort of neckline. I'm going to show you what I mean here on this daily chart. As also kind of breaking that downtrend. Nice hold of the trend line in these upper 60s. And nothing has changed, guys. We're sitting here looking at this same 75 level breakout that is we are looking at as some sort of neckline. And if it can do that, break 75s, we think we're going to print low 80s. We think it's possible this could go print low 80s. GRRR given a wick top at 81, so best print 76s. If that wants to come back in the 4, we are not going to shy away from it, as we have majority of the position sold off. But I am going to be trying to hold a piece of this into the close and see if we can get some crazy movement to the upside. CCC. Continuing the kind of trade sideways, we have an alert at 350. If this wants to pull back into that 350 range, we think that this is a potential area that it could catch a bid. And reason being, as we switch over to this daily, it's the initial move. Boom, the green engulfing candle. You have buyers in the middle of this green candle, and we're looking for an eventual breakout above this 4. So if we get a 4 break, we think that we can run this to. This is sort of a flat bottom break right here. We think that we can run that to that 5 to 6 range. So if it wants to give us that type of move, we're all for it. GRR continuing the churn. And it looks like we're going to go test for maybe another day high. 5 minutes left on this candle. Volume continuing to increase. Majority of it is buying. So let's see if this can run up and give a test up to 5. That's what we're looking for. Extraordinary move here on the name. And see, STL continuing to give you that sort of U shape, and these wicks are also showing you that, hey, potential uptrend brewing. So if that uptrend is legit, it could be a potential channel, but I'm still not giving up that this could still be. If we mark the bodies of the candle, there's your tight channel where this could also need to catch a bid and start something like that. So a couple different ways we could see that going. But still, I would say this 1850 is the level you want to see hold. Looking around, Dish, a notable move. Dish was a gap down, fill the gap, set a low, and has not turned back since. GRR trying to continue to push higher here. My phone just vibrated. Let's go see if that was that plug. And it was the plug. Oh boy. Ring the register on a couple fills, 1060 fill and 1064 fills. Man, this is what a day. What a day. Everything that yesterday was bloody. I'm sure some people were kind of in the slumps a little bit, but I mean, nothing to be slumped about today because everything's giving us the moves that we want. The only thing that would be a bigger success, or what's the right word, would be the AI. If we were still in the AI, oh my gosh, I'd have the biggest smile on my face right now. But what do? You can't be perfect. Nobody's perfect. They tell you they are, then they are full of crap. So mistakes do happen. I am going to keep this PLTK on watch here. Let's go see what some of the red moves are looking like today. Any notable names here on the red names? All a bunch of crap names. This VRTX is actually a pretty fundamentally sound company, but it has caught quite the bid to the upside, leaving this sort of double top look. Already retested these highs once. Warner Bros. This has been one that's still been trading in that sort of wedge pattern. We think down here near these 12s is reasonable support. Any other notable names in the red down here? Smith & Wesson building this sort of higher low look, and this could be a potential breakout of this 1350 level. So also yesterday, or not yesterday, but given that confirmed higher low on Smith & Wesson here, not a half bad look. I'd say 13 could be easily hold as support, and if it does hold as support, you could be looking at a potential breakout over top of 1370. You're flirting above the 13 lows right here as well, and you have a 15 flat gap. So 13 to 15 is a potential move. Looking at 15%, it's not terrible. Looking forward, Affirm is flat on the day after a gap down, not interested. COSM continuing to hold these threes. It did kind of give a gap up above that level, but I just want to see threes hold. If threes can hold and this starts building some sort of U shape, 325 could be a potential sort of breakout level. UCAR, nothing really crazy there. Workiva continuing the trade in this channel. Good action yesterday off this 96 half. It continues to hold that level, which is the previous high. So Workiva, if this ran up to like 100 again, maybe that is something we could respect. Disney, a nice hold of this trend line. Gives a gap down below the short-term trend line. So gaps down, now trying to retrace back up to that gap. Oh my god, GRRR high a day is a tap of 5, so ring the register on 495. Holy buckets. Crikeys, mate. Crikeys. What a move. To that 5 is a 41%er. Still holding the piece of the pie, but not much size left. So let's see if this can run up into these 520s. We can go on the ask at 510, and here we are right now. So I don't know if we even really, and that is a decent wick of selling right there. But here we are catching a bid. Let's go take a piece off and see where we can get this fill. Just a little bit higher. Being greedy. Greed's gonna keep me from getting this fill, guaranteed. Guaranteed greed keeps me from getting the fill. Come on, break through 10s, break through 10s, break through 10s, break through 10s. Oh no, why did I do that? Why didn't I just hit the button? Why am I not hitting the button yet? Break through 10s, break through 10s. Oh my gosh, it's right there. Break through 10s, break through 10s, break through 10s, break through 10s. Broke through 10s, can 10s hold and catch one more bid to the upside? Let's hit it right there and see where our fill came in at. And we got a 15.14.5 fill, or a 5.14.5 fill. And that is what we're looking for. Now wick down. When does this start to pull back, and where do we pull back to? So the next thing on our chart that we have to respect is this wick low right there, which is the bottoms and also started the gap. So heads up at 550s and now 522s and continuing to just rip to the upside. This has got to be just a monster short squeeze right here. So let's go on the ask. Let's just actually just go take a piece off. I wanted to get those 20s. Let's go on the ask at 525s and see if we can get a fill there. $5.25 just gave us a fill. Let's go on the ask at 550s. 540. Now we have majority of the size taken off on this name. We only have 10% of the position left. So I did maybe cut a little too aggressive. But let's just go take another piece off right now. I mean, why not? Oh my goodness. Imagine if I was holding this entire move right here. We just got 70s, 570 fill. And we are actually out of the position now. That closed out our position. Close out the position, so now we really are interested in getting back into this name. But the 570 fill, we want that to hold. And please give us some sort of pullback. Please, Lord. If this wants to rip through this, I'm going to be a little upset. But all in all, home run trade for sure. And we rang the register all the ways to the upside. And plug, catching a bid. Let's go take a piece off a plug. Why not? We'll just market order some out right there and respect it. And GRR, wicking down. So we want this to be the wick top, and Lord, do we ever. So we can reload this name back down in the 4s, hopefully. If we can reload that back in the 4s, you know, I hope my mic is even on right now. It is. Thank the Lord. CSTL going back up. So I'm just going to adjust that a little bit. And I know that seems unfair, but I got to be sure, Kramer. I got to be sure. If this pulls back in and shows me that it's going to start following this, I'd want to see the bodies. So let's mark some of these bodies, which is the top of this body as well. And the wicks. So that's 19. I just want to see 19s hold. I'm not going to rush into this. If 19s can show me a hold, this wick top will actually end up being my breakout price if we pull back in the 19s. So I'm going to keep my eye on this. But I'm feeling really good about today. I want to have high conviction on every trade that I take for the rest of the day. As one thing, you know, you take a good trade and you try to force yourself into another trade and you give back some wins. I am not looking to give back any wins today, as we have multiple positions that we're trimming to the upside, and this GRR, now that we're not in it, I mean, this was obviously a home run trade, but I do need to keep my focus on this name for the day, for right now. But CSTL, there is potential there. Giving you a move like that, that kind of reminds me of, what was the name yesterday? And plug, let's just go on the ask. Let's just go take another piece off of plug. Continue ringing the register on this green candle up here at a 1075. We still have over 70% of the position left. And that should have gave us 74s right there. But yeah, ringing the register on plug again. If that wants to keep ripping to the upside, we're all for it. The CRBU, this is kind of what I'm talking about. You see how this trade sideways? This had the catalyst that, hey, we can be an ascending channel here, and it gave you the clear out. Oh, GRR coming back in. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come down when we're not in the in the stock. Thank goodness. So we have 25s, 30s, 69s, and oh, I thought I got 70s. I thought I remember seeing a 70 print in there. Huh. So honestly, only two fills are above the current price that we're at. So nothing crazy, but RXT, I'd say, is going to give me more interest potentially than breaking that downtrend. If that pulls back in, potential trade. So looking at the multiple candle move, we're gonna flip it to an hour chart and see we're in two candles right here. So we do think it's possible this could pull back into like 25s. We do think it's possible that this could continue to rip higher and actually run up to like 10. So man, I don't like not being in it, but all in all, it's a pretty damn good trade. And plug resisting those 75, so I'm glad I took a piece off there, even though I think that's gonna continue going higher. Let's go ahead and just look at some of the top volume for today. Mullen down 4%. Man, how do I feel about this? This goes lower. I'd say you probably have maybe some sort of descending channel right there, where a 20 could be the hold area. No, I don't like it. Ford building a nice U. AI looks decent. Soundhound wicking down in near these previous highs, catching a little bit of a bid. CVNA. Roblox rejected that flat top right there. This could be something that we dip into maybe and try it. You can see the nice trend line. If this were to pull back into 40 flat, you have really good support built in there. GRR. Looks like that is going to be the wick top for now. 6 minutes left in this candle though. I wouldn't consider that a lock just yet. Go take a look back at FVRR and also DocuSign. So this gaps up, attempts to fill the gap. Looks like it actually fills it on the money. Gives a nice pop to the upside. So FVRR, I'm not sleeping on the name. Neo gaps up, holds the gap, but one thing I don't like is that that wick goes just a wee bit lower, giving you early signs of, hey, potential descending channel in the works. Let's look over at DocuSign. DocuSign holding above 50. That's all I can ask for. If that holds above 50, we're holding that for a large move. Go back to the top volume movers. See what SoFi is looking like. Looks like potential descending channel with a couple of false breaks. What's our daily looking like here? Potential support, and I'm just going to mark these wick tops over here. That's what's trying to hold is this 8. But it's going to have to worry about gap fills to the upside. And I will say, with yesterday's trading day, we do not have the most amount of settled cash. So that's also another reason why I got to be careful with what we're dealing with. CTSL, given that move. Up. Are you asking for a ticker there, or are you saying that it's gonna go up? Nope, that's not a ticker. Going up. Yep, 1970. So I mean, if you played around with this 19 level and even like 1850, you're sitting pretty good. I would take some profit. That's what I would do. That doesn't mean that that's what you should do. That's what I would do. Is I would take profit all the ways up to this, and if you get that break, hold a piece for the breakout. Let's go take a look at the daily chart on this. As in, this also has a flat top right here, so I would say your potential move, if you get a day high break, this could easily rip up. And I would mark the bodies, so I would respect the body of that candle and the wick and the body. So right now I'm telling myself that around that 21, around 21.25, and also 21.50. So just a coincidence that it meets up all in those quarter levels as well. But I'm not sold that this is ready for a breakout yet, even though it's showing you signs. When this candle closes, we got 2 minutes left. I'm just going to put this through whatever that wick top is. And this isn't out of the woods until it takes out that wick top. But I will say I like how these wicks are showing you, hey, this could be some sort of channel. And so if I just marked all four of those wicks right there, there's probably 100 different ways you could do that. So it's tough to say. If you got the entry, trim the levels. If you pull back in, you got some levels that you can reload around this 1920 and 19 flat. Got in at 1860. Hey, you're sitting pretty. You're over $1 in the money. So, uh, yeah, you are in the driver's seat. That is the goal with any position. Is you want to get the entry, trim the levels, and hold a piece for the dream. So that is the one mistake that I have right now on this GRRR, is that I do not have anything for the dream move right now. I'm out of the position, which, we were aggressive trimming in this candle, we were aggressive trimming in this candle, we held off a bit, we were aggressive trimming up to this 5, and we are aggressive trimming in this candle as well. So I would say, as of right now, I'm a little upset that uh, I'm not in this. I wish I was still holding a piece. So I really want this to pull back into the fours somehow. If it can pull back in the fours, we're gonna make sure that we hit the reload for the name. Yeah, GRR gave an extraordinary move from a 350 entry. I will take that trade. With that being said, not being in the trade anymore right now, I will take that trade any day of the week. Any day of the week. And if it runs higher, I'm gonna sit here and tell myself, "Dang, why do I not have a piece of this?" And that's gonna be the one thing that I can look back and say, "Oh, where could I have been better?" But all in all, I'll take the trade. If it pulls back into like these 450s and maybe even 5, we can get back into it. So that's what we're looking for. Looking over at plug. This looks good for continuation. Nice green candle off of this nice volume. One pullback candle, which was an indecision candle. Keep that note. You have sellers and buyers and a nice full green candle. I would expect buyers to be coming in at a hold. I would expect 1050s to hold. It gets the bodies of the candle 1052. But if this wants to keep going, the big part that I wanted to see with Plug is that it was able to fill this 1064 gap. And since it was able to do that, as long as it holds above that price, which it's wicked into the top end of that right now, and actually turning green, the next areas I'm going to be looking for is sort of this flat top, which meets in with the wick lows right here. So, 1080s. And if we actually look back, why we were even trimming those 1090s in the first place was that's your 702. So right here at this 618, right at 1070, okay, this we've taken a couple pieces off here. We're gonna respect 1090s all day, and we're gonna respect these tops. So anywhere up into that range, we're gonna respect it. We're also gonna respect 11. If it wants to run higher than that, so be it. But I really just want to see GRR come back in. Hopefully it can. Mullen respecting the downtrend or the descending channel. That's all right, Kramer. Do what you got to do. Thanks for tuning in. So now that we have the open of this next candle, all I'm going to do is I'm going to mark that top like that. Even if this candle has a little bit above that, I'm going through the green candle. And we're saying that this could be a descending channel. It's possible. So if this pulls back in, holds 19s, and then breaks through this downtrend, that is where we could potentially take a trade on the name. GRR around this. Now we got the wick top. Are we going to get this sort of bull flag start where I would expect multiple candles red just because of this green move right here? A lot of good volume. We switched to a 30-minute chart and we got 11 minutes left on this candle. If this is that wick top, we're looking for 3 candles to pull back in to 425s, which is the wick top, and maybe even just the half. So I can go put a fib tool through the move. You can see that 430 is my 618. And 450s we can say is my half. So right in around there. That is where we're looking for pullbacks. And 522s, and it looks like 5s are going to give up, so thank the Lord that this is starting to come back in. Now break down 5s. Yes, 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 yes. Come on down. Trying to hold 5s with the prints that we have over 5. So we got 14s, 25s, 30s, and 69s. And that is a total of about 15%. So we can reload 15% of the position back if we want to. Right now. But this is candle number 1. If it only has one pullback candle and it goes and takes out the day's high, so be it. But I'm looking for this to actually give me multiple moves down to this 450 range, where that is where we can be a little bit more aggressive. We got 63s, 76s, 95s, and that's another 10%. So we can reload 25% of the position back in at 50s. So let's see if this can break down 5s and come on down. Sort of the same look. Couple indecision candles to the taking out the highs. PLTK continuing we just want to see it trade sideways, hold these 1180s. Rivian getting close to taking out that A's high. Carvana, nice slow churn to the upside. GRR still sitting right at this 5 level. RXT, we could have pulled the trigger on that early in the day. We can look back at, we still haven't got alerted on 4C. Let's go look over at GEO. GEO holding a nice green candle. Is this going to be the start of a higher low? If it is, we're in on a pretty good position. CLF unfortunately stopped out underneath the lows yesterday, catching a bid. I still think it could potentially. Let's go look over at DocuSign, still holding 50s. So this is what I want to see. And you can see the sort of downtrend right there. So by no means are we out of the woods just because it's green on a single day of trading, but a notable look. DAL, we're not sure if this is going to be the top or not. GRR gave up 5s. Let's come on down. So now I'm going to say I am getting interested in this name. If this pulled back into like 1925s, I think that's a reasonable setup for it to catch a bid. Plug rejecting. So looking for maybe a pullback into these 50s. Nasdaq did turn green. Hey puppy, what is it? What is it? You're okay. Yeah, you're okay. We should go take a look at in mode. You know, we could try this in mode trade. I'd say it looks reasonable. Let's clear out everything. Let's go look at the daily on this. And we're right at that flat top. We could go try this right now if we wanted to. And you're right, we are at that 20. You were all over this one, Kramer. You were all over this. But unfortunately, you know, the sad truth is I want this to come back in. I'm interested around this 1925, and it doesn't look like it's going to give that to me. The only resistance that we're fighting is this wick top. But now that I was able to do this, you know, respect the teal. If this comes back in, we are going to be interested around this 1925 to 19, which is the middle of this green move. So just marking just a fib tool. We'll go from the start of the green move, the wick bottom right here. Run that up. My 1977 meets up at the wick high. So that's buyers could easily come in there. This half meets up at the wick, and the 618 meets up right around 25s right here. So that is what I'm looking for. I want it to pull back in. This is a pretty solid look. And one of the good things that I like about it is it showed a little increase in volume at 4 minutes left in this candle. So this could easily show increase of volume still. leave a green candle like this, and then pull back in, and that's where I'm going to be looking for some sort of trade. GRR coming back in. This is red candle number 1, and it looks like it is going to be decreasing volume, so mark this down. For candle number 1, we're looking for candle number 2 to come on down to 450s, and candle number 3, and we want the candles to start getting smaller. If the candles can start getting smaller, that is going to pass the rules to hit this reload on the name. And Baba is on a absolute tear. Looking at it, I'd say descending channel with a potential uptrend. And one thing that I like about this uptrend is just marking more short term right here. Could be a potential channel where why you gotta ask yourself, uh, I thought I was looking at something. Oh yeah, it was this gap. This gap fill. If it was gonna give up, why on these 2 days? It gets filled right here, right? You catch a little bit of a bid. Now, why on these 2 wicks is it getting bought up still? And now we get the gap up through the neckline. Gaps up above that. Already filled the 87.12 gap. And now it looks like we're going to make a run for 92. If it can get over 92s, and this could easily start breaking this sort of downtrend and respecting, I would expect some resistance up in front of 100, and more particularly just mark that low. Well, we already tested that low. If this starts building that flat top right there, boom, and it continues to reject it. Look at Carvana. It will be big if it holds over 27. Yeah, I was looking at Carvana. It's a nice move to the upside. Looking at the daily levels, it is reclaiming some levels right near this flat top. I would say it has some resistance here. So I think you're on the right idea that over 27s is what we want to see. And you can see that right there. So a nice green move. I'd want to. It's just tough when you get these slow churners to the upside. Um, I like to have the entry before. Obviously that is the case, and I'd say you have a nice uptrend build right here, and even an uptrend build right here. So this is the uptrend that I would want to try. I would take this one off. Pull back into the neckline around a 25 flat. But over 27s, I agree. If it holds above this price, it could easily reclaim 30. This could easily still be a good entry and run it up north of 30. I don't disagree. Silica on a massive move, breaking over the neckline. Some of these oil names should be kept on watch as well. Rejected 73s for now in oil. GRR still holding this sort of current level, which is all right. But one thing I will say, that red engulfing candle setting a close underneath of this 93. We're at 92s right now, so it's trying to hold above that. But I'm expecting another red candle, and I would expect 70 or 80s to break down, and I want to see this come back into 450s. So GRR. Extraordinary trade, and it's going to try and hold these 5s, but this is still a red candle. The decreasing volume passes, so I want to see 2 more red candles come in, and we're going to hit the reload on this name, and that's what we're going to be looking for. CSTL wicked into those 20s, so this is what I wanted to see. We want to see it to be a nice green candle still. So indecision, you have buyers, you have sellers. If this pulls back into like 1940s, 1925s, or 1910, that's where we're going to be interested. So we should get a candle open on the next candle, and hopefully this can start turning red. But for your sake, I will root for a breakout. If it breaks over top of this wick high, I think you're going to get a nice green candle, and that is going to be the start. Wherever the top of that green candle comes in, let's say it goes up and runs up to 2150. I would say this is going to be your solidified uptrend, sort of ascending channel like that. So all in all, I sold TCLS $20. Okay, TCLS $20. Oh, TCLS. TCLS. I'm not getting any tickers pop up with that. Oh, okay. I sold on $20. You know, that's the one thing I would say about this is I don't disagree with the level that you're selling at. I don't disagree with the 20. The question is if it breaks out, uh, 2050 doesn't have to get rejected. It could easily push higher, and the reason why I say that is because these wicks right here, this could easily be a higher ascending channel where it could catch a bid even up to like 21s, maybe even higher. These wicks right here, you need more information for it to truly show you what type of channel this is gonna be. So I mean, I'm already telling myself, hey, this could easily run up to 21 halves. But if it rejects and pulls back in the 1950s, that's where you could hit reload. So if you were looking at that 20 level and you wanted to respect it, you know, let's say you had trims all the ways up and you had 40% of the position left. When it pulls back in, if it pulled back in the 1950, everything that you sold above 1950 could potentially be a reload right there. There's 1,000 different ways you can go about it, and right now it's rejecting this top right now. But I always like to have a piece for the dream. So you were in at 1860. Nice move. 7%, you'll take that trade. If every trade you took was 7%, that is a very good trading style, a strategy. But the question is, if it breaks out, holding the piece of the dream is something that I like to preach. This GRR red candle number 2 starting. So if this pulls back in to 470s and starts catching a bit, I want to see these candles start getting smaller and smaller. And that third candle is going to be the candle I'm looking for on this GRR. Moving around, let's go take a look at Fiverr. You know, trading sideways. We just kind of respected some of these levels down here yesterday. Plug, we should look back at plug. Plug turning green. Looks like it's going to be a continuation where we're looking at 90s. Wick low and the flat top. This is the next move up that we're going to be looking for on plug. What else we have? DocuSign. We'll see if that's still holding 50s. I would be surprised if it wasn't. You know, a nice setup though. I would say the wick top of this is right at 94s. So if it pulls in there, we're looking for a move up to that gap. Looking elsewhere, Geo. We like the setup that Geo has. These red candles pulled into the top of this wick, and now a green candle starting to come in. Positive break on the 15, but the daily chart shows it. Early signs of a potential higher low coming on in. The true break on this isn't going to come until it gets over 35s. I got CCL at 1919. I hope it breaks that level. Haha. Let's go take a look at CCL. 1919. Right off the rip, I'm saying to myself that this looks good for continuation. Why? You have strength. Following the earnings report, you have increased volume. One pullback candle. Now this volume exceeds these two candle moves, and it's just been a slow churn. But showing you the signs that if it can break over 1950, you don't really have any resistance. I would say you could say that 1860 was some resistance, and this flat bottom right here, which is also the wick tops at 18 flat, you're holding those levels. So I don't see why it couldn't catch a bid up to the top end of like 2050. I don't see why you couldn't get a price up to that range, where if you can break over top of that, you have the wick high that goes into the low here, and then you have a sort of a flat top around 23. So I mean, it's a pretty decent setup, honestly. But you are a little bit in the money in mode. I do want to keep an eye on this. I'm interested around this flat top, and we're right there. but I have to accept that it has already had quite an extraordinary move. If this wants to wick through there, my trend line is there. So I'm already telling myself that if I start it here, I'm going to have to run a stop. Or I could just average in at the gap. Well, I'm already telling myself that's 7%. You got a gap fill down here, right there, at 14%. My trend line's around 12. So I do want to be careful playing around with this, as it's rejected this level numerous times. But it's giving you the nice higher low look, and I would look at this as some sort of neckline where you have a reason to want to buy it for the gap, which is only 4%. But that is one that we're keeping an eye on. GRR reclaimed 5. Reclaimed 5. So candle number 2 coming on in as a green candle. This was the one thing I didn't want to see. When we were talking about this candle, we said if this only wants to be one pullback candle, we switch over to that 30-minute. Never really breaks below this 494. We set a close slightly underneath. Well, now the green candle's coming in. This 30-minute chart, I don't know if it's done running yet. So that would lead me to go to an hour chart. We have 52 minutes left on this hour candle for this to set another high. So if this is a third green candle high, we could actually be seeing a move go up north of 6. And it's showing you the increased volume. We have 52 minutes left. If it breaks over top of this wick, this volume is going to start jumping. RXT, nice green move. We were interested in it. Plug gave us a move up to 81s. Let's go take a piece off plug and start ringing the register again. Give you guys some entertainment. Please, GRR. Please, Lord, come on back in. That's all I want to see. Well, now, the scary part about it now is if it does come back in, it's going to show you this wick. And that's going to look like people are trying to short in the middle of this red candle, which would lead me to think that this is going to take out the high. And if it leaves you a wick, then you got to think about potential double top. Does it ever break higher than that again? CSTL flirting with these highs right here. So I'm actually going to alert this to the downside because I don't want to look away from this. And I want to make sure I'm there for a 1950. So let's put an alert there at 68. Not perfectly set by any means, but I am interested in the play. Look at, if I had looked at this over here and I seen this light volume coming in, see how when we take out the high, the volume increases above that. Not the most amount of volume, which is the scary part about it, but it passed the rules, so maybe try it. End phase continuing the churn. We never got the gap fill yesterday. That is what we were waiting for. Just never happened. PLTK continuing the hold. And that volume increase, if this pulls back in the 80s and holds, could be something there, as it has a nice flat top. Gaps above it, now wicking into the flat top. Does it need to pull back into 11 halves first? Maybe. Maybe it does. Oil right around that 73. That's notable. And we're going to go back and look at this GRR, and I'm going to show you what I was talking about. Now, if this, we have 4 minutes left in this candle. You can see this wick going into the middle of that red candle. I'll switch to a 1 minute chart and show you guys what I'm worried about here. Potential downtrend. not really crazy. But if this is some sort of retracement, rejecting the half right there, which also is your lows. You see that? So if this comes in, holds a higher low and takes out, that is where you're going to get that spike in volume to the upside potentially. But you're still going to have to fight through 550s. Holding a nice uptrend as well. That's your catalyst for a move higher. Now if it breaks this trend line and comes back down in, tough to say, tough to say. Holding above 5, I'd say, is a reasonable setup for it to potentially break for a day high. But we do not have any entry in this. We could try it, but following yesterday's trading day, we're a little light on settled cash. So, is what it is. Plug, we can go and take a piece off a plug right here as it's been, we're going to shorten down the size that we're trimming. So up at 83s, let's take a piece off right there. And let's go throw an order in off of 87s and 89s. So we still got about 75%, a little more than 75% of the position on this name. And let's go off of 1087 and we'll just go 1090. So we'll see if 87s can give us a fill here. And if it doesn't, so be it. CSTL, wicking, couple wicks into that level. So it's already, I do like, and this is what I was talking about when we were in the middle of this candle right here, is that it was showing you the increase of volume. Increase, or it goes from the move, breaks above the wick. So there's your first, doesn't increase here, but increase and increase right here. So if it pulls back into like 25s and 50s, I'm going to be interested. GRR looks like it's going to give up 5s for the time being. CVNA, you weren't kidding. You weren't kidding, Kramer. That 27 was a nice level. Continuing the churn higher, increasing volume, leaving a little wick of selling, but pretty solid setup in my opinion. Plug giving up 80s. This is why we wanted to trim that. Alibaba is continuing to show this massive move in the 90s. Can it break 90s, which is the start of the gap actually? And I'd say a reasonable catalyst for a run up to 92. Let's see what some of the red moves are looking like. BTAI giving up the trend line. Light volume. Hey puppy, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Amgen. How does it act near that trend line? That's the trend line that we're focused on. You know, as crazy as it sounds, I think that this ExxonMobil support above 100 is legit. Oil is starting to churn. That 100 level is the previous high. I would say that you have a $75 or $50 billion share repurchase program on your side. So you got a big buyer, probably respecting these levels down here, tapping into some of those buybacks would be my take. GRR giving up fives again. So we are on this next candle. This is candle number 3. This was the candle we said we were going to be interested in. Well, now if it gives up this level, it's going to lead me to think that that 30-minute chart, this could be the wick top, and we need 1, 2, 3, or maybe coming back in the 4. I don't want the 30-minute candle. And looking at this wick, the volume increase right here, that is a decent amount of selling that came in. So this actually might have to pull back into like 425. CSTL, given that breakout, and here the top of this candle, 12 minutes left, is going to be where I put the channel, something like that. So I mean, this is kind of what I was mentioning, Kramer. You had the golden entry. When you get these golden entries, a lot of times I just like trimming the levels. So 20 flat, definitely a respectable level. But you never know if that buying comes in and it breaks over top of that. Anybody short off these wicks, they're now out of the money. Anybody short off of these, they already got flushed out. Top end of the channel, let's see if this channel has any sort of respect to the upside. GRR holding these 90s as support. If this wants to build a U shape, I would be respecting up to the wick tops, and if you get the breakout, you get the breakout. But I'm not interested in reloading right here. I think that this is possible that this could come on into 450s. But that wick is holding right there. If this builds a nice U shape, this is a good area of support that's trying to build. Baba pushed through those 90s, giving the catalyst like, hey, let's go up to 92s. NRG. Imagine if we'd have just took that trade on NRG. As soon as they dropped that news of buybacks, was a beauty of a setup. Beautiful setup it had going. Hibbit. We are keeping Hibbit on watch. We should keep looking back at Geo. Still holding around these 21s. FVRR. Holding above 25s. DocuSign, trying to hold 50s, but actually it looks bearish. This is a bear setup, the gap down continuation. Hold, the wick holding, they started that gap, is actually a bear setup. GRR holding that 5. So when I go to this 15 minute, you're going to see the wicks. You're going to see the wicks holding here. Given the catalyst that it wants to go higher. Ripley, what is it? Oh, my dog is being scaredy cat. Sorry about that, I'm back. Looking at this GRRR candle, there's a part of me that's saying that I could easily see a red candle come in and give this stair step look, but this green move right here is without question. That is a notable move. When I get green moves like that, I want to make that green move into 3 candles. If this is the wick top, we have 6 minutes left on this. If this candle turns red and gives you that stair step down, this is going to be looked at as potentially candle number 1. Even though this is a wick top candle right here, 1, 2, 3, 30 minutes. I'm telling myself right now that this could be an hour and 30 minutes before it gives you the move. Now, if this ends up holding as support right here, this could easily just wick down in the 60s, catch a bid. But if it reclaims 5, it looks pretty good for a continuation. The part that scares me is this wick right here. Wicking into the middle of this red candle is somebody trying to go short in the middle of this red move. There's 100 different ways that this could go. The part that I would say is the bull catalyst is look at all this green volume. I would expect that the longs still have control of this, even if it pulls back like this, which is why we're interested around this 450 and back down into above 4. Anything above 4, we're bullish on and we're looking to get back in. We could reload part of the position, give you guys some entertainment right now. We got 3 trims in the exit that all came above 5s. So if I wanted to reload all of those shares, we're looking at what percentage is that? About 20%. So I could reload 20% of it here at this 5, and if it comes back in, I can continue buying more, which I'm almost inclined to do here. This 5 level is acting as support and continuing to act as support. The CSTL wicked into the top of that, so all I'm going to do is adjust that sort of like this and adjust the bottom end of my channel. Sort of like that, give or take. So now here's your catalyst for the retest of these wicks. If it pulls back in aggressively, this 1950 could be an area. We're just going to sit back. We've had a great morning. And looking at plug, did plug give us a wick up to 80s? Nope, not quite. So we're also on the ask at 87s and 90s on plug. Baba continuing to move higher. Going to make a run for that 92 gap, it looks like. So I am going to take a small break. My dog's got to go outside, and I'm going to make some food. I'm going to keep the stream going. I'll leave it on GRRR so you guys can keep looking at it. But I'm looking to come back, and it's either going to give me a move up or down. So let's hopefully it's a move down, and we can buy it at a cheaper price. I'll be back. Okay, we are back. And look at the nice flat top build that we got going here. So I'll pull back into 5. I think this is a reasonable trade to jump into. And if it gives up 480s, 450 is going to be next on the list. So let's see if this can pull back in and see if we can get an entry and give you guys some entertainment. Honestly, it might not even pull back into 5. It might just give you a nice green candle through the high and go for another move. But from 5 up to that wick high right there, reasonable trade, 11%. CSTL, that wick top, a little bit scary. Baba giving a pullback candle. Plug now has a couple wicks into the previous high right there. Let's go see what type of red to green moves are. Neo, a little bit of a bid, and same with Square. Neo gaps up, retraces down, was able to take out the highs. We marked this as a potential descending channel. It was getting ready to go on. PLTK continuing to hold that level. Geo still pretty much flat, but a nice sideways and actually showing a little bit of increased volume. If this candle closes green, could be a potential setup right there. Nice sideways consolidation there. What's keeping it from breaking through this 1650? That's probably the previous lows, is what I would say. BNS, a nice 2% day after faking like it was giving up the trend line. Let's move that down a little bit. GRR back down in the 5. Let's go take a look at what this candle looks like. Well, now I'm just not even interested in that candle. Where I'd say this 5 level kind of giving that fake out. Now, we do have 6 minutes left, so it can show a fight and still turn slightly green. But still, that wick is a little bit scary. Increased volume a little bit. Of course, there was some buying, but then a lot more selling came in. 6 minutes left in this candle, though. If this 5 holds and closes at like 520, it's still going to be a nice candle. If it closes up here at 520s. Well, let's go take a look at what a 5 minute looks like. First pullback candle to this previous highs at 507 starts to hold. I mean, maybe not even a half bad trade. If you're looking for a quick scalp, there's also potentially a trend line there to hold that 5. That trend line probably runs back to the previous hold right here as well. So a catalyst for maybe an ascending channel up to 6, but starting to wick into that level. giving you the early signs of a indecision. You know, let's bring some entertainment back to the stream. Let's go ahead and jump back into this. See how close we can get it to 507. 505 potentially. And just like that, candle has turned green. Let's not force ourselves back into it yet. Even though it's probably gonna give you this move. Plug trying to reclaim 80s. PLTK going to test up to that 12 area. Actually a pretty good look here on CF. Showing you some sort of breakout over top of a potential neckline right here. I'm just going to show some patience with this. I think we at least probably test down into this. At least try to test down into this. But if it cracks 5, that could also mean a larger move to the downside. 30-minute candle, never. It did set a close like we were looking for continuation. 17 minutes left on this candle. Is the move over? I don't know if it is yet. GR reclaim 520s. Minute left in the candle. And we do have the open of the next candle. Yeah, other than that, I think this is probably gonna call it for the live stream. I don't know if I'm gonna re-enter back into this GRR. It was a fun trade in the morning. You know, I wish I still had a piece of it. But that's just kind of the way that the trade went. And off this 350 level, maybe I just didn't have enough size on the position. So, you know, sometimes that's how it goes. But looking around, I mean, AI, it would have been a completely different day if I was in the AI trade still. Coming into this lunch hour, you know, I don't know. I might just sit back and try and get a read on some things. And yeah, we'll maybe be able to do something later, back half of the day. PayPal with a true positive break holding above the 65 level. I wouldn't be surprised to see this make a run for 75. Wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. Alright guys, that's going to call it for the stream today. I hope you guys got some entertainment, and we'll see you guys on the next one.